Hi guys, we're here. It's weird not seeing us this week because normally I have the computer in front of my face.
We're live together this week. Oh, look. We haven't done this since the very first Campfire stories.
Yes, so long ago.
Bananas.
That was right before quarantine.
Yeah, it was in March.
Wowzers.
I know. Did you think we would still be doing this?
No.
In September?
No.
Remember when we thought we were only doing this during quarantine?
Yep.
That was a fun thing.
That was fun.
I guess technically it's still happening. Who do we have here today? Hi, Beans. I'm going to say hi. We have, if you're here in our live stream, we have a campfire. It's very smoky.
Yes.
If you're here, say hi so we can shout you out.
Yes.
Ooh. Hello, John Roncasa, Lisa McLean, Audrey, Anna, Lee, Jenny from all the way on the other side of the world.
From the block.
I know. Well, not anymore.
From the Thai block.
From Thailand now. Veronica, Lauren.
What time is it in Thailand?
Tomorrow o'clock, I think.
Oh my gosh. My goodness.
That's bananas. Mia. Hi, friends. Beans. Both. Why not? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Wine Boy.
They should sponsor us.
Yeah, we're drinking our favorite 7 Deadly Zins, who we really want to sponsor us, so tag them in everything. Cheers. Look how good. Product placement.
And we're live on Instagram for the first time. Let us know if it sounds okay, if it's too windy or annoying. But yeah, John is taking care of that on that side. So if you guys are talking, he'll let us know.
Yep. Okay, I think 9 a.m., Jenny. It is tomorrow. Jenny's in the future.
Good morning.
In case any of you guys have questions about tomorrow.
Oh.
She could probably answer them. So that's good. All right, Shane is here. Let's get rolling. We got people hanging out. Hello, Fiends, and welcome back for the September edition of Campfire Stories. This is, like I said, just the second time we've sat next to each other and done this. I know. It's so nice. So it's pretty exciting this week. Will and John are behind the cameras, piping in us live to all of our fiends on Facebook and Instagram. And between the 4 of us, we will try to respond to all of your questions and comments as we move along. So feel free to talk to us. We love to talk to you. Yeah. I'm so depressed about our fire. We had a fire.
We did.
I
It
swear.
was great. Doesn't want to talk to us.
It doesn't, which is unacceptable. We spend so much time focused on things that scare us, but we take little time to think about why. So this week we're talking about phobias. If I've said it once on this podcast, I have said it 1,000 times. Everybody has something that scares them. Not just scares them, something that gets to them. That one thing that just crawls under your skin. And maybe it's things that crawl under your skin. That's valid. I'm itchy right now just thinking about it. Maybe your thing is one of the big ones, like claustrophobia, which is the fear of confined spaces, or arachnophobia, which is the fear of spiders, both of which are being covered tonight. Or maybe your thing is a little more exotic, like pterophobia. Oh. Do you know what that is?
No, what is it?
Would you like to hazard a guess?
It's the fear of, like, blocks.
Does anybody know? It's the fear of cheese.
Cheese.
Yes. Cheese.
That's a sad one.
I know. Apparently there exist in this world people who are so terrified of cheese that they will flee a room at top speed the second a ball of mozzarella hits the table.
Oh man, le fromage.
I know. And I am furious that I don't know any of them, because that sounds so funny.
Ball of cheese coming at you.
If there was a cheese plate and someone was like, no, run! That'd be great.
That would be great.
I mean, at their expense,
Well,
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah. So that's that one. Or maybe your thing is nomophobia, which is the fear of not having mobile phone access.
Oh, I've heard of that. That's like newer
Yeah.
too, right?
Well, yeah, there weren't mobile phones in the dark ages, so.
But there weren't. Oh.
I mean, it feels like there were, but there
Yeah.
weren't. And like, oh, woof. If that's your fear, that's your thing, that you won't have like Wi-Fi, you're probably insufferable.
Yeah, but it also could be like like a safety net. Like they won't be able to call somebody if a serial killer comes after them.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Or you're like an Instagram model. You just need to be connected at all times. Or both or all three.
Right.
You never can tell, but that is a real and documented fear that science acknowledges now. Whether you have a mass-produced fear or one of the more artisanal ones, you're undoubtedly familiar with the feeling it produces. Your abdomen fills with furious butterflies that float slowly ever upward, threatening to escape your mouth. You start to sweat, and your entire nervous system stands at attention, heart pumping, fingers tingling, breath short. If your phobia is extreme enough, like me when I have blood drawn, you might pass out or vomit, which is fun. Fear is a very real and visceral response that we all have, but it is what provokes it that makes us different. So let's have Leslie start us off tonight, as she has a little bit of phobia history for us,
Yes.
and a few to tell us about. And I will stay on this feed so I can talk to you all. Oh, hello, hello, Dominic. I see he said hello.
You guys are going to pause the feed for for about 30 seconds. Don't go anywhere, folks. We're going to be right back.
We're pausing for 30 seconds.
Pausing, 30
so sorry.
Stream.
Just of the woods. Eliza always has them.
Oh, nice. We're back?
Oh, hold on.
Nope.
Hey, I don't know you, but I want your mushrooms.
I know, but I love you.
Shayna Murray.
Oh, Shayna's on both. Hey.
Wow, Shayna. Thanks for getting those numbers up.
Yes. What is this? This is not what I want to be watching. Why is this showing me this? Oh, because I went away.
Is there a way to share it to? No, probably not.
The one right after we get rid of Switcher, because we only do this once a month, and it's like already weird.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, it's fine. So, what is your greatest fear? We'll talk about it again.
I think claustrophobia is probably my worst one. I'm extremely claustrophobic.
I mean, but the needle thing sounds...
Yeah, I'm really afraid of needles and getting blood draws done. And the terrible thing about that is that I know it's irrational.
Right.
So when it happens, I warn people. Like if I'm in a hospital setting, I say like, okay.
You'll be like calm warning them and then it'll just happen.
Yeah,
right?
and I don't freak out. I don't like try to resist or run away or anything. I just like quietly
die.
Yep. And the whole time I'm like breathing heavy and trying to like while I'm getting a blood draw done, trying to think of something else. Mm-hmm. And when they take the needle out, that's when I'm like, well, I'm gonna pass out or throw up now.
That's what happens to me with snakes. So like beforehand, like I can have like a freak out moment, but if I knew that if I found out that one was in the building, like that was contained or something, like say somebody brought in like a pet snake, I would get like quiet and I'd be like, guys, I'm really scared. I don't want to be around it. Please get it away from me. And then I will just slowly fall apart into pieces.
That's so weird because we can finish that thought for anybody who's on Instagram. Because when I'm really afraid of something or something really terrible happens, like in normal life, I have a terrible potty mouth. You guys obviously know that I swear all the time. But when something genuinely bad happens, all profanity leaves my vocabulary. And I'm just like, oh geez, oh gosh, oh no.
Yep. Oh, I like to say, oh dear, oh dear.
Do you?
Oh dear. That's what I do.
No.
Oh dear.
Why is that a common thing? Does anybody else do that? I guess. I don't know. I just, for some reason, that my normal language totally leaves me. And I don't know. Where is our feed now? Will, is it a new one?
It's still in the event.
Okay. I have to find you guys again. Sorry.
They're coming back. We're back up to 9.
Well, I can't even get myself into it. I think I can. Here. It's just a post. Oh, there we are. All right, we're back. Cool. Are we good now, you guys? Are we like less choppy? Those of you who switched over to Instagram heard Leslie and I talk about our phobias for like a couple of minutes.
We'll talk about them again.
And
Yeah,
we're
we sure will.
recording live so we can post this unchoppy.
Yeah.
Later.
And our patrons will get the audio as though it were just a seamless podcast.
Yes, because that would be wonderful.
We'll edit that part out if you guys don't want it. It's fine. Maybe you do. Maybe it was fascinating.
So
I don't know.
fascinating.
I'm waiting for this to catch fire again. It's going to happen. I have faith in it.
happen.
Oh, it's snowing ash.
All right.
Go ahead, Leslie. We're going to turn it over to Leslie.
The earliest reference to a phobia dates back to 470 to 410 BCE.
Yikes.
When the Greek physician Hippocrates wrote about the many ailments and problems of his patients. In one of his works called The Seven Book of Epidemics, did you read that?
No,
Okay.
not recently. It's like kind of foggy from
I have it on my bookshelf.
when I was reading the 7 books of epidemics.
Yeah.
It's one of my faves, though.
Yeah. What did I say?
No.
I have no idea what I said.
Not epidemics?
Not epidemics.
What is it actually?
Epidemics.
Oh.
Is that not what I said?
Crowd?
I
Keep
don't know what
going.
I
You
said.
got this. You're
I
doing
can
great.
read.
You got it.
This is my worst fear right now. this is my phobia.
Come on.
Hippocrates described a condition in a man named Nicanor.
Oh.
Nicanor? I don't know. I couldn't ask him. Nicanor was terrified of flutes.
Flutes?
Flutes.
Like flutes?
Yes.
Oh.
We aren't sure if it was the music or the musician playing the flute or just the flute itself. But
I want to think it was a terrifying flautist who was just like,
yeah. But the affliction was only prevalent at night at the bars, not during the day. He was okay with them during the day, but at night he would go into like a terrible, like frantic fright. He was just terrible.
Spasms.
Yeah, flute spasms.
Worst.
So that was like the first reference they ever had to somebody with like some sort of phobia, right?
Okay, and it was a flute.
It was a flute.
That's fun.
The actual term phobia would not be used until 500 years later when Roman doctor Celsus coined the term hydrophobia. And hydrophobia, not to be confused with aquaphobia, is the fear of water due to severe case of rabies.
Guys, the rabbies, they're
I'm
coming
doing
for
so
us.
good. Cute little rabies.
Aww.
A severe case of rabies.
Oh, it's rabies.
Rabies.
Less cute.
Yeah.
Still in the poor little rabbies.
Celsus got the term phobia from the Greek god Phobos.
Oh.
Phobos was the son of Ares, the Greek god of war. The story goes that Phobos was a frightening and formidable god, so much so that warriors would paint his picture on their shields to give their enemies a real fright and then get them to run away in terror. So they would just see this this picture of the god. Yeah. Yeah. So a phobic reaction resembles someone terrified of something. That's where they get the word. Yeah.
Excellent.
It wasn't until 1786 that the modern term of phobia was used in Columbian Magazine. They don't know who the writer was. It was just some guy that wrote in the magazine, defining the word as a fear of an imaginary evil or an undue fear of a real one.
Got it.
In the 1800s, medical scientists began using the term a lot more. They were conducting more studies to better understand the psychology. Up until this point, most would assume a person with a phobia was just kind of crazy. Through their research, they started to realize that even though these phobias were different, they were all pretty similar, like with their symptoms and their reactions to things. In 1985, psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, I don't know if you know him.
In 1985?
In 1885.
Perfect.
Related a young boy's development of a horse phobia after being terrified by one in the streets.
Freud and I were buddies in 85. I get
Yeah,
it. We
was
talked
it?
about
Right?
it. It was nuts when this happened.
All right, so he worked with this young boy who was afraid of horses.
Yes.
Because he got terrified by one in the streets, right?
There's a horse in the street.
There was a horse in the street.
Got it.
But Sigmund, being the guy that he is, he chalked that fear up to the boy's unconscious fear of his father, also involving the fact that the boy must be in love with his mother.
This is coming back to dicks. I know it.
That was really it. That was just
Okay.
it all has to do with the fact that he's in love with his mother and now he's scared of horses.
I mean, that checks out. I was waiting for it to come back to dicks, but you know what? Close enough.
In 1947, Phobias became a separate diagnostic category in the International Classification of Diseases.
Oh.
In 1960s, it was observed that phobias basically divide themselves into three rather different categories, which are agoraphobia, social phobia, and specific phobias.
Okay.
That set the stage for the phobia classifications that we still use today.
Oh.
Agoraphobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by symptoms of anxiety in situations where the person perceives their environment to be unsafe and no easy way to escape.
Oh.
Social phobia is an anxiety disorder characterized by sentiments of fear and anxiety in social situations, causing considerable distress and impaired ability to function in at least some aspects of daily life.
Okay.
And specific phobia is any kind of anxiety disorder that amounts to an unreasonable or irrational fear related to exposure to specific objects or situations.
Got it.
Okay.
I have general anxiety disorder,
Yeah.
generalized that is, which means I'm afraid of everything.
Yes, I think that's me too. I think mine's specific. I don't know.
Oh, no, mine's everything. Everything makes me nervous. I don't have hives right now. We're very lucky.
You're covered right now. They'll come up. We'll talk about stuff soon.
Yeah, we will.
Today, many psychoanalysts believe phobias can be passed through genetics, which many believe to mean that it might be actually a form of like survival.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about that too.
All right. So one of the first ones I brought up was the aquaphobia, which is the fear of water. And that's just usually either like specific, like a body of water, a cup of water, any
A cup of
water, any
Oh.
kind. So it could come from weather.
Like it's raining and you're scared?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a flood. Like it kind of covers everything.
Okay.
So that was really heavy. So instead, I went with thalassophobia, which is an intense and persistent fear of the sea.
Ooh, we live by the
Yes.
sea. Ooh.
Yes. So I tend to have dreams about tsunamis is another one that's like has another name for a fear.
That is
But
so
I
for real
always,
scary.
Yeah. So I always, because I've always lived on a coast, I have dreams about tsunamis coming.
Do you?
Yeah.
I know we both have the same pool dreams, but I have never had
Yeah,
that one.
pool dreams, but I have had the tsunami dreams. And then because I live in hill environments too, I'll have where like the steepness, like I'm scared of like walking, like either driving up a really steep hill or walking down a hill. Like I'll just fall. Like I always have dreams of the car like falling backwards.
Yeah.
But it's just like, to me, it's more like my environment. So I'm not terrified of the ocean. It's just like
a lot of our listeners also in the feed that we have in our group about fears said that they were afraid of being trapped in a car in water.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which is like a terrifying thing, but I guess that feeds into the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, just being trapped in this like deep body of water.
Yeah,
So thalassophobia can include fear of being in deep bodies of water, fear of vast emptiness of the sea, of sea waves, sea creatures, and a fear of distance from the land. So if you guys are on Reddit and you don't actually mind this, there's a really good Reddit that's thalassophobia, and they have really cool like ocean scenes.
We can link it in our socials. If anybody wants to see that, let us know. We'll put a link in for you. No problem.
But if you have this fear, do
not click on
there.
it. Don't do it.
Yeah. So thalassophobia is different from aquaphobia because while aquaphobia is the fear of water itself, it may present with weather events or relatively small amounts of water. Thalassophobia is the fear of the whole body of water. And people feel like it's just going to be dangerous. So common symptoms are a racing heart, shortness of breath, rapid breathing, lightheadedness, sweat, dizziness, nausea, sense of imminent doom. Right? It's like
I sweat every time.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Gross.
This fear response can happen if you come in direct contact with the ocean or other deep bodies of water, such as driving past the beach, probably going over a bridge. Or flying over the ocean on a plane, but you don't necessarily have to be near the water to experience the symptoms. So it could just be a picture, it could just be the thought of it, it could be
God.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Treatment may sometimes encompass a number of different strategies, including gradual exposure. That's like a big one.
Here's a teaspoon of water.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Take a bath.
Yeah, we're gonna like drive by the water, like just something.
We're just gonna talk about it.
Systemic desensitization. systemic desensitization,
There you go.
cognitive restructuring, and relaxation techniques. So breathe it in.
It's like, chill out.
Let it out.
It's fine.
All right, so that's thalassophobia. My last one is on arachnophobia.
Oh, God.
Mm-hmm.
I do not care for spiders. I like a lot of creepy things, and a lot of people find this very surprising about me. Because I like bats. Bats aren't spiders. No. What are you thinking? I don't like spiders at all.
It's so different. So different.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm going to be very uncomfortable.
Spiders make many people uncomfortable.
I am people. It is me.
Some may run or try to kill a spider immediately after seeing it.
Well, I don't kill them.
Have you ever walked right into a spider web late at night or early in the morning and feel like a spider was crawling on you the rest of the day?
You know they're all over my house.
I do, because I certainly have felt this way.
You walk through them on my front porch.
I do. Actually, the spider that she has on her front porch nicely went to one side of the porch for me the other day, so I checked and it wasn't there, and I was like, "Thank you, Cornelius," and I walked through.
I love that his name is Cornelius.
Yes.
I like that he has a name now. He is there every single day.
Yeah,
so
he greets me now.
I know now. He's like, "Oh, Leslie's coming.
Yes,
I'll go to one side."
Yes,
that's very nice.
So we have a spider web that sets up shop between the two cars in our driveway. So we have 3 cars.
What is that
2.
spider's name?
I think it's Frank. I don't know. I don't talk to him.
He's a low-key spider. Yeah. Mine is high class.
Yeah. I know. Frank is... I don't want to talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about it.
Okay,
so
talk about Frank anyway.
I have an awful game of deciding if I'm going to try to walk between the cars up the driveway in hopes of, that the web won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I walk on the grass on the other side of the car to the front door where a snake can literally arise from the ground to pull me into its underworld for a snake-tanic ritual.
Snake-tanic?
Yes. It would happen. That's why I'm wearing, I don't know if you guys can see me, but I'm literally wearing boots today. That's my fear.
That if we could get shirts that say Snake-tanic on them. Just saying. Leslie won't wear them, but I will.
Sometimes I wish I only had to leave the house when there was snow on the ground.
I know you hate it. Remember that one time we went for a walk and snakes fell out of the trees?
I hate running, and I think we ran the whole course. We
walked at a good clip.
Yeah.
We definitely did. We were on the trail by the lighthouse, and we were going to have fitness for a minute. It was terrible.
I haven't gone back since.
I know.
Okay. But just because you dislike a spider doesn't mean you have a phobia. A person with an arachnophobia will go to great lengths to ensure that there is that they are not exposed to a spider, right? So they may be unwilling to participate in activities that carry a heightened risk of exposure to spiders, such as going down into a basement where they once saw a spider, or maybe a party out in the woods, or just an old house or whatever.
So all basements are off limits because one time there was a spider.
Yes.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. The person with a phobia has a persistent and excessive fear that interferes with their functioning. So symptoms would include screaming and running or freezing in place. So this is going back to my snake fear. That's what I would do. I'd either scream and run like we did on the, or
yeah, you did.
Or there was another time when it was it appeared next to me and I just stood there frozen and my dad had to run out and get me.
You didn't do that with me. You were hyper aware too. You were like, I know they're in the trees. I was like, Leslie, they're not in the trees. You're like, they are in the trees.
And then
they were in the trees, so it did happen.
You may need a friend or family member to rescue you from the situation, usually by trapping or killing the spider themselves. If you are alone, you may need to leave the house or burn it down.
Yeah, burn it straight to the ground.
You may choose not to do certain activities to try to avoid spiders. Experts are still uncertain about what causes arachnophobia. There are a few theories, though. One of the most common theories was put forth by evolutionary psychologists. This view suggests that arachnophobia was a survival technique for our ancestors.
Yeah, poison, run.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So any ones that were left, they were the ones that reproduced, but they kept that fear inside them and passed it on to us.
Fear is genetic.
Yeah. So that's kind of the main one. The other one is just that people, they're just creepy to look at. walk weird. I hate them.
I don't love
I
a
don't love
spider.
them, no.
However, I will not never go in anyone's basement ever again because one time I saw a spider. It's not that extreme.
Right. You're just uncomfortable by them.
I am quite uncomfortable. I don't want to touch one. I don't want them to touch me.
I don't like when they're fast.
Cornelius and I are okay at a distance.
Yeah.
And oh my God, we also have one on our, you can't see it, it's over there on our back porch, that is a giant orb weaver spider. So it's really big.
Yeah.
And it makes a really big web every night. And then during the day, it goes away.
Up. Yeah.
And they're pretty docile. And my children love it. And they just call it the orb weaver.
Oh.
Which feels so ominous.
For sure.
Yeah.
So treatments of spider fears involve spider fears involve cognitive reframing, which is changing the way you look at something, so you no longer perceive it as dangerous or stressful. That's probably the healthiest one.
Yeah.
New research suggests using virtual therapy by exposing patients to virtual representations of spiders. This one made me so uncomfortable.
Virtual representations? What is that?
You'd be like a VR experience.
Oh,
so you'd be be there but not be there with it, and you would. I'll keep putting myself in the shoes if it was like a snake, and I would be like, nope, no, thank you.
You would. You would hate that so much.
I would hate it so much. So that's what I have.
All right. Well, my feed is gone. There we go. It's a little better now. My feed was super paused for a little while, but now I'm back. I see you now. Okay. Now it's my turn.
Your turn. You have some fun stories.
I do. I have stories with mine, so strap in. If you have any of these phobias, it's probably going to make you feel like you're covered in fire ants. But you know what? You knew what you were here for.
Yep.
So many of these fears resonate with me that I'm a little bit beginning to doubt my own sanity. But I chose 3 that I think will hit a nerve with most members of our audience. And you all can let me know if I'm right. So, here, Leslie, I'm going to give you my phone, so if you want to talk to the people, you can. Okay. Talk to the people, Leslie.
Oh, hello.
The first one I chose was claustrophobia, which seems so common, but don't worry, it has a lot of weird, bizarre offshoots. And I am super claustrophobic. It's tough. If basements are a confined space, I won't go into your basement.
Oh, okay.
The term claustrophobia comes from the Latin claustrum, which means a shut-in place, and the Greek phobos, which means fear. French psychiatrist Benjamin Ball introduced the term claustrophobia into the field of psychiatric seminology in 1879, but it has more than likely been around for a lot longer than that. Claustrophobia is the fear of confined spaces. It can be triggered by many situations or stimuli, including elevators, crowded to capacity. I hate a crowded elevator.
Yep.
I hate an elevator.
Yeah.
Any elevator. I'm not very good at it. Windowless rooms and hotel rooms with closed doors and sealed windows. What hotel are you staying in that has sealed windows?
Oh, that's probably one with a lot of suicides.
Or a lot of,
or it used to be a prison.
Drug deals. It used to be a prison?
I feel like that's happened.
What hotels used to be a prison?
I don't know.
That sounds
Maybe.
awful.
I think there's dorm rooms that are like that.
Oh, God. Oh, no, there are definitely dorm rooms.
Yeah.
I think UArts has one. I went to UArts. Has a dorm that used to be like a psychiatric hospital or something.
Yeah,
but you can open the windows. Some hotels, I guess you can't.
That's why it's not a psychiatric hospital anymore.
It is not. It is typically classified, claustrophobia that is, as an anxiety disorder, which often results in panic attacks. The onset of claustrophobia has been attributed to many factors, including a reduction in the size of the amygdala, classical conditioning, or a genetic predisposition to fear of small spaces. One study indicates that anywhere from 5 to 10% of the world population is affected by severe claustrophobia, myself included. I, as I mentioned, hate elevators and airplanes for that very reason.
Oh.
A lot of people on planes are like, it's going to crash, that's why I'm scared. That's not why I'm scared. I don't like that I can't get out. It's awful. Yikes. Also,
it must be fun on cruises.
I like cruises. I can handle a cruise because it's like you're out in the open air. I can walk out on a balcony and I'm not shut in.
You can just swim home.
Yeah, I can. I'm a strong swimmer. I'll swim right home. It's fine. Okay. Also, never jokingly put a pillow over my face because I will lose my shit and cry.
I'll remember that.
I hate it so much. Lumped in with the title of claustrophobia actually is the fear of suffocation, so that's part of it. And now we're getting somewhere. While it is uncommon to plain old difficult for a human to die simply by just like being stuck somewhere small, it takes about 10 days to dehydrate to death and about 35 to starve to death if you have water. So you're not just going to die in a little room. That's pretty rough.
Sure.
It's very easy for a human to die of suffocation. We need that pesky oxygen to survive. Now, as unlikely as you are to die in a tight space, there are several ways the claustrophobic's worst nightmare has killed people. Take, for example, poor John Edward Jones. John had been interested in caves since he was a little child, and thus, in adulthood, became an avid spelunker.
Oh, I love it. I love that word.
Isn't that a fun word?
Yeah.
That's a hilarious word, and it just means one who climbs through caves with great enthusiasm.
I love it. They're so excited.
I added the enthusiasm,
Yes.
but I think it applies, right? If you're spelunking, you're probably pretty into it. On November 24th, 2009, John set off to explore Nutty Putty Cave. Also hilarious.
Nutty Putty Cave.
Mm-hmm. Which is a hydrothermal cave located west of Utah Lake in Utah County, Utah. I just said Utah so many times. In case you're a cave novice like I am, let me explain a little further. And like everybody is, you're like cave experts up in this joint? I don't think so. Hydrothermal caves are a system of caverns and tunnels formed by years of erosion due to the rise and fall of naturally boiling hot groundwater. So like hot springs and just like water that lives down closer to the core of the earth will bubble up and create these little fissures and tunnels within this cave system. And people, for one reason or the next, think it's a good reason to see where they go.
I love it.
Do you?
I do love it.
Really?
I do like doing that, yeah.
You're a spelunker?
Yeah, I would love to do that.
Never take me.
I won't.
Tell me later.
It does not sound fun to take you.
Drop a pin and check in 100 times because if I know you're going, I would be like, Leslie's staying in a cave.
Now my fear of not having Wi-Fi has come to play.
Your no phonophobia or whatever it's called. Oh, good. Okay. So Nutty Putty Cave is a system of super tight tunnels etched in natural clay, which is why the guy who named it, and he only discovered it in like the early 1960s, called it Nutty Putty.
Love it.
Because it's like putty, and it's so nutty when you're in there.
Tastes like almonds.
Putty?
Nutty.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I gotcha. If you are brave enough, you can go through this cave system and shimmy through with the assistance of a headlamp and some rope. And when I say it's tight, I mean it's tight.
Tight.
Indeed. In some places, you cannot put yourself into a sitting position or extend your arms.
Oh, I hate it. I'm already uncomfortable.
Yeah, you don't want to go there. When you said you wanted to go there, I was like,
I'll do it.
I don't think you do.
I'll do it.
Some of these tunnels are smaller than a water slide.
As long as I can keep moving. It's when I can't.
Okay. John was an experienced caver, though, and this did not intimidate him in the least. He was cool shimmying through Nutty Putty tunnels. But somewhere around the middle of the exploration, something went wrong, and John slid headfirst into a crevice that was roughly the exact same size as he was. Completely wedged in there was no way for John to wriggle out. He had wriggled into a fissure that was nearly straight up and down, which made him unable to turn back on his own, because it was so tight. He was so tightly encased that he couldn't turn around. The narrow crevice he was trapped in measured 10 by 18 inches. This size is comparable to the opening of a front-loading washing machine, except it wasn't a perfect circle, and he was stuck in the tightest part of the opening. Trapped more than 100 feet below the ground and deep inside the cave, all John could do was wait and pray.
Oh my god.
He was stuck perfectly upside down like a cork in a bottle.
Wow.
Yep. Luckily, and there was no farther for him to go. It was a crevice, so it made a loop, and he was at the end of it.
Wow.
Yep. Luckily, John had gone on this expedition with his brothers, and they were able to exit the cave after John's slide/fall and call for help. Rescue efforts were heroic. The first person to arrive to help was Susan. She was a local rescue volunteer who immediately dropped everything she was doing when she received the message on her rescue pager and rushed to the scene with her Toyota. So way to go, Susan. We love you already. She arrived sometime around midnight, as it was now more than 3 hours since John had been trapped. Why are you night caving? Don't night cave.
Wow.
Don't.
Maybe it was the right time of day for like water or something.
Maybe. Still don't night cave. I'm against it. Small, agile, and quick, Susan took no time to reach John. When she got to him, she said, "Hi, John, my name is Susan. How's it going?" Or my name is Susie, sorry. She was jaunty. She went by Susie.
Nice.
John said, "Hi, Susie, thanks for coming, but I really want to get out." Within the next few hours, tens and tens of rescuers arrived. The rescue team quickly brainstormed a plan after plan. They discussed everything, even like lubing up the walls of the cave
Yeah.
with something slippery to get him out.
Lots of butter.
Maybe. You never know. Until they decided to use rescue ropes that passed through a series of climbing cams, with one end of the rope tied around John's leg and the other pulled by a team. At the same time, so they're like on a system of pulleys they set up. At the same time, they also tried drilling away chunks near John. But the hard material and the awkward position made the drilling a slow and painful work. In over an hour, they had only managed to drill through a couple inches of rock.
Ooh.
Yep. The position of John's body also complicated things. He was trapped nearly completely upside down. His feet were the only thing visible to rescuers. And the ceiling above the feet hangs so low that the rescuers couldn't just reach in and pull him out. So if his feet were here, the ceiling was here.
I gotcha.
So you can't pull him up and out, and you can't, like, get him out that way. Time passed, and the rescuers worked frantically and failed with their system of climbing cams. They tried to use a rope and pulley system, anchoring the pulleys with bolts, drilling the bolts deep within the cave walls. Efforts went on for the better part of 19 hours.
Wow.
A two-way radio was brought in so John could talk to his wife, and progress seemed to have been made, but John was falling in and out of consciousness at this point and had horrible pain in his legs because there's no circulation to your legs. Your heart can't work that hard when you're upside down. The rescue team attempted to pull John up 4 times, and on the 4th, when they pulled, something happened. The entire team fell backwards as the rope suddenly went loose in their hands. The closest rescuer went and felt something hard on his face. He passed out for a second. When he came to, he saw nothing but dust. Once the dust settled a bit, he realized the stone arch near John's legs where the rope was tied around had shattered, and the nearest key bolt had broken off. He couldn't make out in the dust exactly where John was, but soon he realized John had slid right back down into the crevice again, and seemingly even deeper than before.
Right.
As the rescuers suffered several severe facial injuries from the impact with a metal carabiner and couldn't continue their rescue efforts. He had to switch places with his dad, who was also on the rescue team. When he reached John, he realized John's breathing was much more shallow and less frequent, and he was struggling to stay alive. The rescuer called for John but received no response. Desperate, he tried to lower himself into the crevice to put the rope around John's waist, but got stuck himself. After finally wriggling himself free, he drilled a new hole for the pulley and crawled out of the cave, exhausted, to be replaced by yet another rescuer who reached John but could not make contact with him.
Oh my God.
Yep. Soon after, a medical professional crawled into the cave and reached John. At midnight on November 25th, John was pronounced dead.
Damn.
Yeah, he was 26 years old. A total of 137 rescue workers worked hard for 27 hours to save John, to no avail. John had slowly asphyxiated over the course of 27 agonizing hours in a place no bigger than his own body. You are not meant to be upside down, fiends. Your lungs don't work that way. Gravity messes them up real hard if you're upside down for too long.
What was that Joseph Gordon-Levitt movie?
127 hours, is that the one?
Or
No.
was that him?
I don't know who it was.
Or who did? Or
But
was
he wasn't
it
upside down. That's the guy.
James Franco?
His arm is stuck and he cuts his own arm off.
Oh, okay.
Spoiler alert. Sorry. So,
Well, damn.
yeah, there's a tag on the end of the story. As I mentioned, he asphyxiated over the course of 27 agonizing hours in a place no bigger than his own body, which remains in the cave to this day.
Let's go.
We can't. Workers were unable to get him out, and so they simply closed off the cave to the public, and there John stays. And he remains entombed to this day.
But he really liked it. It might be a nice place. Like, he probably would have wanted his ashes spread.
Pretty
in a-
traumatic death.
It is super traumatic, but maybe he's at peace.
Maybe. Sure. Well, if that wasn't blood pressure raising enough for you, I think if you're claustrophobic, that is like the most horrifying thing to possibly think of.
Yep.
Except, well, here's the offshoot that I promised. Arguably, the most terrifying situation ever for a claustrophobic is to be buried alive,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's in fact so bad that it gets its own phobia.
Oh.
Yay! It's called taphophobia, and historically it has made coffins a lot more interesting.
Yes.
Let's conduct an experiment, shall we? If anybody is still watching.
Yeah.
Cool. Close your eyes and picture waking from a sound sleep in the pitch dark. It is hot and extremely still. You can smell damp earth and wilted lilies. It is sickeningly sweet and suffocating, so you try to sit up. But your head makes contact immediately with something. As you feel around, you notice you seem to be closed in a place, lying down. You touch your chest and notice that you seem to be in formal attire. Your breath comes quicker now, and you work up a scream, but it only soaks into the dense walls surrounding you. No echo, no escape, and your lungs have begun to burn as you gasp and recoil. You know where you are, and you know what this is. You claw madly at the satin roof, your fingernails catching to form runs that hum as you drag them down farther. It's too late. You realize you cannot be saved because as far as anyone in your entire life and world knows, you're already dead. How high is your blood pressure right now?
So high.
So high.
But I know how to get out of it.
How to get out of a coffin?
Yeah. I watched Buffy and Kill Bill. I can get out of this.
You could dig through 6 feet of ground on top of you?
When I'm fighting for my life, Holly, anything is possible.
You're amazing. I'm guessing everybody's blood pressure is pretty high. I cannot sincerely think of a worse way to go. And while modern medicine makes damn well sure that you're never coming back before putting you in the ground, that was not always the case. It wasn't that long ago in our history that doctors would just assume a person was dead to the best of their abilities. If they couldn't feel your pulse, see you breathing, and you didn't react to a pin stick to the foot, you were dead. But that wasn't always the case. There are plenty of illnesses that will cause a catatonic state that can mimic death pretty solidly. And if you were put in the ground too soon because of this, well, too bad. Now you're dead by default.
Wow.
Yep. Such was the case with Octavia Smith Hatcher. Oh, it's smoky. My eyes are on fire. But there's fire, sort of.
Should I give it my paper?
Oh, God. Sure. Couldn't keep going. Couldn't power through. In 1891, the city of Pikeville, Kentucky was shaken with an unknown disease, and the most tragic case of all, was that of Octavia Smith Hatcher. That smoke got to me. After her infant son Jacob passed away in January of 1891, Octavia went into a bedridden depression where she gradually became very ill and slipped into a coma. On May 2nd of the same year, she was pronounced dead of unknown causes while still in her bed. Oof. The saddest. So sad. So sad. And sick. Embalming was not yet a practice. Embalming didn't come about until way later than I always think. I mean, it was slightly there during the American Civil War.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way they got soldiers home, but it wasn't commonplace for, like, just civilians to all be embalmed after they died.
Okay.
And Octavia was buried very quickly in the local cemetery due to the sweltering heat. Barely a week after her burial, many of the townspeople had been stricken with the same debilitating illness and fallen into a comatose state. The difference? After a time, the townspeople began to wake up.
Oh.
Yeah. Octavia's husband began to fear the worst and worried that he had prematurely buried his wife while she was still breathing. Because again, if your breathing was shallow enough and you can't really feel it on your hand,
right,
they just assume you're not breathing.
Or like a mirror.
Yeah, if you're not creating fog on a mirror or a feather to raise or something, they just are like, well, you're dead. He procured an exhumation of her grave only to find that his worst fears were in fact true. The lining of the inside of the coffin had been scratched and torn to pieces. Octavia's nails were bloodied and broken, and her face was contorted in horrific fear.
Oh.
She had died in the ground after being buried alive.
What year was this?
1891.
So is this, and then like right after they started putting little bells in?
Yeah, well, that was in play at this point in time in some places, but like not everywhere. And it also wasn't a cheap thing to have.
That's true.
Safety coffins were, which I talk about in a few minutes, safety coffins were for people who were wealthy.
Yeah,
you had to buy that. And you still can. If you want a coffin that you can exit or that you can live in for up to 2 months, you can buy one.
We got it, babe.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
nuts.
we'll do.
Octavia was reburied after that, and her husband erected a lifelike monument over her gravesite, which still stands today.
Oh, wow.
It says her story on it, so like if you want evidence of Octavia's being buried alive, you can find it.
Cool.
It was later speculated that the mysterious illness that had been caused by the tsetse fly, an African insect that is known to cause a disease called trypanosomiasis, also known as sleeping sickness. In the late stages of trypanosomiasis, the victim's sleeping schedule will be reversed, and during the day they will fall into a deep coma-like sleep. And they'll still sleep some at night. They're awake like very rarely. They sleep for longer stretches of time. And this has all the trappings of death, if you don't know what to look for. So they look dead for most of the day. Octavia wouldn't have woken up for hours after her burial at that point, and it would have been too late.
Wow. I think something recently happened. Like a woman woke up at her funeral.
Really?
Yeah. Like a nursing home woman was taken in.
Well, if anybody knows anything about that, please
I'll try
tell
to find the article. I think it was in our friend's podcast, the Wine Dine Storytime.
Okay,
They,
cool.
Like in their group, they had something.
Nice. Well, not nice, awful, but I want to read about it. Stories like this are all too common in human history, which is why we are so afraid of this phenomenon. In the 19th century, safety coffins, which we just mentioned, came into fashion, as did morgues outfitted with like a large room to store bodies, like a bunch of bodies, for a few days before they were put into the ground, just to be extra sure. And these buildings were equipped with like large windows, so people on the street could walk by and see them. You could observe all the bodies, making sure they were dead. I don't know if I love that.
You're just playing your part in the community.
Yep. And they did have people that were like watch people that would sit in the building for hours and hours at a time and just make sure these people didn't move or cough or talk. Mm-hmm. A safety coffin would frequently be rigged with a bell on a post positioned next to the headstone, and the bell would be connected to a string that went down a hole all the way down into the decedent's coffin, attached to their finger or their toe. Mm-hmm. Similarly, bells would be attached to the bodies in these newfangled morgues, and this system seems perfect, except for one thing. Dead bodies frequently move.
Oh.
Surely not! You must be yelling at your device right now, but surely so. As decomposition progresses, the human body creates and releases gases, which will inflate and shift the body around. Ligaments and muscles shrink and reposition all the time. And this is a really something they're only recently studying more extensively. Okay. So on crime scenes, sometimes you'll find a body in a certain position and assume that that is how the person died. However, that's not always true.
Oh.
Sometimes, because of however long they've been out there or whatever natural processes are happening to them as they decompose, their body will move, and you will not be seeing the exact position of their death.
Oh, so that could lead to some conspiracy theories of people that die like in a freak panic, and they find them like months, weeks later. They could have like kind of turned into a freak panic.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. If you're left outside long enough and like dry enough conditions and natural mummification starts to occur, then your ligaments are kind of shrinking like a raisin.
Okay.
So imagine if your muscles are shrinking, you're doing this or you're moving.
Get smaller than I already am.
Yeah. But it's constricting and it will make you bend or move or certain things happen that isn't exactly the way you looked in the moment of your death. And if you have a bell attached to your body, what's that going to do?
Tell us.
Yeah.
Or was that it?
No.
Okay.
No, I have to find my place. As I mentioned, ligaments and muscles shrink and reposition all the time, so frequently those bells would actually ring.
Right, okay.
Oh. And this caused more panic than rescues, but also ingrained a deep fear of accidental burial into the fabric of the human condition. Mm. Because if you knew... Oh, there's a dog outside now. Swell. Maybe this is our last outside one. I don't know. It is. I like it. It is a hellhound. Yeah. But if you knew of like a bell ringing attached to a dead body, you'd probably be pretty terrified of that whole situation. Yeah. All of this is really terrifying.
I'd be terrified if I was the watcher.
Yes.
Like, shit.
But if you were the watcher, you would hear those bells go off more than you think.
Right.
Because that's just a natural process that a lot of people go through.
And if you had to pay extra, it's like such a ripoff. It's a scam.
It
It's
is a scam.
is what it is.
You definitely had to pay extra for safety coffins and for the rig and the bells and stuff. And I don't know
just
if
to
there was
open it up to find out that they were dead all along.
Yeah. And I don't know what the fee was like in like a morgue or a mausoleum where you would like keep your body to wait. Perhaps you had to pay rent for your dead. I don't really know.
Wow.
Oh, the smoke. How's everybody doing out there? Are we hanging
They're
in?
good. Yeah, they're loving it.
Are we talking?
Yeah. They said, "Shut up and take my money." So we're
you
doing
want your
good.
safety coffins?
Yeah.
I get it. I know. I think I did too.
Yeah, I want the ones where you can like live up for like 2 months.
They have those. They're weird. They look like little spaceships. They have like, freeze-dried
It's like
food.
an Earth home.
And it is. They're big.
So
Somebody famous has one. It's not Nick Cage, but it should be.
it should be. He probably does.
He might, and we don't know it. He has like the big obelisk in New Orleans.
Yeah.
So bury him under that. No, I'll find out. It may be somebody along the Elon Musk range.
Okay. It'd be nice to get into one of those like right before you knew you were gonna die. Like, I know if I just get off this medicine or like this life support, like I only have so much longer. Just be like, come on, to my husband, and just be like, let's just go down here and we'll hang out for 2 months, and at some point within that time
both
frame,
go down there.
No, we'll get a big enough one where it's both of us.
Oh,
It'll
you're
be
gonna,
like $4,000, $4 million maybe, $4 million.
Far more accurate.
Yeah.
I like that you have plans to fashion one that's large enough for John to come with you.
Yeah, it'll be great. We'll just live down there for the last like month of our lives.
I'm not gonna poke holes in this plan because it seems to be something that you really like. But
I'm really not that weird, guys.
Yes, you are. Get out of here. We'll move on to, I think what's going to be my last story. One of the more ghastly fears a lot of us have is hemophobia, which is the fear of blood. We all have blood, so why be afraid of it? Right? Fainting at the sight of blood generally comes from an overactive vasovagal response, which is an evolutionary fear reflex. This response slows down your heart rate and lowers your blood pressure, causing your blood to drain to your legs. This means that less oxygen-rich blood is going to your brain, which causes people to feel lightheaded and pass out.
Mm-hmm.
Things that give you a vasovagal response, as it says, are evolutionary. They're usually things that you really kind of should be afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
I keep losing my place. John edits out all the times I do this on the actual podcast. This survival mechanism is nice if you need to, say, play dead in the presence of a predator. So if you were like a primitive human out in the wherever they lived, cave, jungle, dinosaur village, I don't know, and you watched somebody else die and it was bloody and you just shut it down.
That's what I would do that.
Well, it's like playing possum.
Yeah.
You just faint, and then what your evolution is telling you and everybody else is that, oh, that person is dead.
Right.
Don't eat them.
Right.
Dead is gross. You want a live victim?
Yeah.
Obviously.
You want a happy, alive victim.
Right.
Yeah.
Much tastier that way.
Yeah.
So if blood freaks you out, it's with pretty good reason. Lots of blood tends to signal death, which in turn activates the fear response in the human brain and makes us retreat. And nobody was more aware of this than the Vikings. We're going to go Viking for a few minutes, you guys. And if you are squeamish, it is time to dip out. These bold and bearded, snappy dressers would occasionally execute a political enemy or a political enemy of the highest order, or like someone they were fighting a war against, in the most bloody and graphic manner possible. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the Blood Eagle. If you were a Viking and wanted to make an example out of someone with whom you had fought a long battle which cost your people a great many lives, you might take them into a public area where people might pass by or gather and perform a ritual called the Blood Eagle. Now, there are some debates as to if this actually happened or whether it was just terrifying mythology with which to scare their enemies. It's very detailed in every account of it, and these are very old accounts. So I think it happened. Please feel free to weigh in the feed and tell us what you think, but I think it's a real thing. In this act, the victim is tied face down in the prone position. usually lying on a rock or the ground, so you're face down on your belly. And in some illustrations of it, the person is shown standing straight up with their arms and legs out like this, tied to posts. So you're like a tent, basically. Okay. That one might be fictional because this procedure is pretty difficult from that stance, but usually you were laying down and then you were tied down, obviously. The executioner would then make 2 incisions down the length of their back and peel the skin away. Yep. After that, each of your ribs would be broken outward. So this is your back, your ribs look like this. And the lungs would be pulled out through the newly created opening in your ribs, like this, and laid out on your back like a pair of wings. And theoretically, at this point, you're still alive, so you will watch their lungs inflate and deflate, like they're flying. Yes. I cannot imagine anything that would make me pass out faster than the sight of that. Done. On the floor. That would surely make a statement and activate the inner hemophobia in anyone unfortunate to pass by it. Pretty sure that trauma lasts generations, and they do say that trauma can be genetic. You can pass down horrible shit that happens to you to your grandchildren's grandchildren's grandchildren. It literally will live in your DNA. So, if you're afraid of blood, maybe your family were Vikings, and if so, Valhalla, fellow scaredy cats. Similarly, our lizard brain takes over when we suffer from nyctophobia, which is my favorite phobia word. Okay. And this phobia is categorized by a severe fear of the dark. It is triggered by the brain's disfigured perception of the world when it is dark, or could happen in just in a dark environment. Humans are meant to sleep at night, and so our defenses are down, and our night vision, compared to predators, is not very good. So we aren't really super prepared for anything to come at us. Plainly put, the dark is scary because it is scary. Anything can happen. So if you're nyctophobic, chances are you could also be phasmophobic, which is another great word. That just means scared of ghosts. Yeah. So good.
Phantasm.
Yes, I don't have a whole story on that one because
we tell those.
We tell a lot of them, and we will tell more of them. Or maybe you have mesophobia, which is the fear of getting lost. Whatever you're afraid of, chances are that there is a name for it and a support group to help you cope. But we hope you choose exposure as your phobia-solving method of choice and keep listening to us talk about scary things week after week.
Thank you so much.
And those are my spooky phobia stories. So now, thank you, William.
Thanks.
So now we have to toast. Oh. Do we still have anybody here?
Yeah, we were...
How frozen have we been?
People were, I mean, when they respond like, oh.
Oh.
Oh. We just have really good fiends.
Jessica, you've never passed out? I've passed out when I got blood drawn.
I did too. Yeah.
You have?
Yep.
It's
woo! Actually, so that was one of this is how I respond to fear. I saw the like my eyes start like spotting and like blackness was coming over, and I was at school, so I was at a Catholic school, so of course I had a skirt, and I was I'm about to fall off this chair.
Oh no.
So I had a girlfriend in front of me and like another friend over here, and so I just saw it happening. I think my hand was in a bag of like little chocolate chip cookies.
I want cookies.
By the way, like they gave me sugar and it did not work.
Oh
and so,
no.
all very calmingly, I just was like, "Hey guys, I'm about to black out. Can you make sure that my vagina doesn't show?" And I just like plopped down.
Blood eagle! Guys, if you're gonna pass out, please, if I've given you anything, yell blood eagle before you do it. Blood eagle! I want that to be my legacy more than anything in the world. Oh no! Yep. Do we have any other phobias that you guys want to mention? I mean, like, I think we hit a lot of big ones. There's fear of heights is really big. A lot of people are afraid of that, and that's obviously also an evolutionary response. If you're you're not supposed to be up high. We don't have wings. Yeah. We're not natural climbers. We're not meant to be on top of a giant building or a mountain or anything.
I get uncomfortable with heights. I guess I can deal with them. Really, the snakes are the only one for me.
Yeah, snakes
That's
are rough for you.
That's the only one. Everything else is a little uncomfortable, but I can like get through it.
Oh, and there's, what's a fun word? Triskaidekaphobia, which means you're afraid of the number 13 or things that come in 13s. I actually have the opposite of that.
Yes.
I love 13s.
I love an odd number.
You do. You like 3s in general.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love specifically 13. So we were a little glitchy out there in viewer world. I know we didn't get to talk as much this time. Maybe next time we'll go back. If it's better for us to be like virtually connected, we can do it over that format in October, which is an important time. So
yes,
we probably will. We'll also do some. Oh God, my eyes! My eyes! Blood Eagle! Well, some fun movie reviews coming up.
Yeah.
I know we're planning a viewer's companion of the movie Tusk.
Yep.
Yes, because like the only people that love that movie a lot are sitting in this backyard. Oh God, my eye makeup is gonna run all over my face.
Yep,
it's gonna be really pretty. Can't wait for you all to see it. Did we talk about thalassophobia?
Thalassophobia? That was the sea. Yeah.
The sea?
The sea is scared of the sea.
Yes.
Ocean.
Yeah, Leslie talked about that really early on. And us coastal folks, that is very inconvenient.
Yes.
Oh, I'm crying.
Yeah.
Anybody else? I used to be afraid of going over a bridge in a car. Jenny, me too. I used to be afraid of that for sure, but that was part of the I was afraid that my car would go underwater and I wouldn't be able to get out of the car.
Right. Oh, okay. My father-in-law had the fear, and they couldn't travel places, and then it started to get a little bit better, but he would have to lay down, like he'd have to put the seat back to get over. He couldn't see it happening.
So he couldn't see it? I closed my eyes.
You'd have to just not tell him that it was happening, so he'd have to get ready beforehand. But yeah, it was really bad.
All right, I could see that.
Yeah.
Technical feedback. Instagram was better in real time. Facebook was about a minute behind, but the wind was noisier in Insta. Oh yeah, Jenny, that's because we use the mics on our Facebook feed, and the mics are not connected to. We're not. I'm sorry, connected to our Instagram live feed. If that was better, we can probably move over there more. Although next time, I think we'll probably go back to virtual as much fun as this is.
Do it inside.
Yeah, or we could just do it inside. That's true.
We could just set up a little living room if we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fireplace back on the TV.
Yeah, we can put the fireplace back on the TV, and I'll get out all my skulls, and you guys can look at all my oddities.
Yes. Perfect.
Maybe if you're really nice, I'll take you on a tour of the taxidermy and skulls that I have in my home.
Ooh, let's do a little tour.
Yeah, I can show you all the weird shit I have in my cabinets. Maybe I'll do that in October.
Cool.
Holly likes oddities quite a bit. Lisa McLean, did I see what you posted in the comments? I did not, my friend, and that is because I had to read. But I will look, and if it's something that's pertinent right now and you could retell me, I would greatly appreciate that. And I'm glad you're here.
Has a fear of rejection and a list so long that she could write a book.
Fear of rejection? Girl, we all have that.
Who don't?
I know. Nobody wants that. We're all fear.
We literally ask for positive reviews every week.
We need your validation so hard that we beg at the beginning of every single podcast.
Yeah.
So I think we relate just fine.
And I think a fear of rejection just means that you care about doing a good job.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, it's refocusing your
What
fear.
if you're talking about romantic rejection?
Well,
you want to do a good job.
Yeah, you want to be a good person. You want to be a compatible partner. But you'll find somebody.
Yeah.
It doesn't work out with someone because it's going to work out another way.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's why you're the positive one. Oh, and Ray Sheets tells us that it's called submechanophobia, when you're afraid of being submerged in man-made objects.
Okay.
Good one.
Oh, like Hans?
Hans?
Was that a man-made object? Would that be?
What are we talking about?
Han Solo. When he was.
Oh, I don't know. I don't think that's the same.
No, that's like concrete, right? What was he
Do
put in?
not make...
Carbonite. Sorry.
Please don't make Star Wars nerds come at us.
I'm sorry,
They're
guys.
so angry. Look, John's already angry.
I already got a finger.
They will come at us, too.
I'm sorry, guys. I've had a wine and some other things.
And smoke. Such smoke is in my eyes.
toasts.
Before we toast, does anybody have any other fears they want to talk about? I mean, we did read about quite a few of them. I mentioned a bunch of other ones in my What the Friday this week, so you can check that out if you want to hear those. And if you have one that we haven't talked about, please tell us about it now before we put our glasses up to toast. Oh, Lisa wants to bungee jump, but it scares her.
I feel
You have to make a will.
You have to make a will before you do
You
those things.
do?
Yeah.
You have to make a will? It's that scary?
Well, bungee jumping, like skydiving, like you should make wills before you go and do that.
Did people make wills before they went to Action Park? Did you guys watch that documentary?
Oh,
it
not
was
yet.
phenomenal.
Not yet.
Will and I watched it. It was great.
I'm
We had
excited.
so much fun.
Yeah.
Text me when you watch it.
Okay.
You can all text me when you watch it. You don't all have my number. You can do whatever. It's fine. They don't all have my number.
They don't. Well, I'll give it to you guys later. Just ask.
They're not giving out Holly's phone number. Oh,
Well,
Lord.
I'll tell you.
Watch Action Park and also The Babysitter.
Yes, Will and I watched the Babysitter movies 2 nights ago and got inadvertently very drunk.
Wait, really? They were good?
They were so fun.
Okay.
Watch them.
Okay.
They're camp though. They're very campy.
Yeah.
You guys like campy horror movies? The first Babysitter movie is like genuinely pretty good, and the second one is just bananas camp. But it is so fun, especially if you're half of a bottle of wine into the evening by the time you get to the second one.
Let's watch it now.
Yeah, and then it's glorious. All right,
Cool.
so this is not keeping a calculation of how many people are watching for me, so I don't know. 13. All right.
Nope, I got a
Lucky
piece.
number 13.
I love 13.
So let's toast. There is a whole bunch of stories tonight.
So, guys, throw up your toasts. If there's anybody that's particularly struck you, I'm going to say to start with,
John Jones.
yeah, Fort John, upside down in the cave.
Yep.
We're going to toast that guy. And,
Phobias.
yes, who gave us the name of our scary phobia. And, oh, what was her name?
Octavia?
Octavia, who was buried alive and has a wonderful monument in a graveyard in Pikesville, Kentucky.
Cool.
So, cheers to them.
All right, cheers.
Yes, and to you. And to you, our
And to you, men.
our
Thank
technical support staff. Is there anybody else?
Yes. The RGB.
Oh, God. Yes. We were devastated by the loss of Ruth Bader Ginsburg today,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that most of you, if you're watching, were too. And I hope this was a distraction.
Yeah. It worked for me for a little bit.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I mean, I know that the news came out like almost immediately before we did this, perhaps an hour. And if you're Facebook friends with us personally, you could have seen it through us that way. So yeah, that's awful and terrifying. And please don't forget to go vote. Vote, 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 vote. I will do so if I have to crawl through spikes and rancid water and coronavirus and zombies. I will find a way to vote.
Yeah.
And I hope that you all do the same. Before I take us all out, is there anybody else who wanted to toast anything else? It just you? Are you? I mean, like, if
You
we
toast
toast
to
you.
you guys.
Are you? You're great. I like you. Everybody else had 2 vasovagal responses. Passed out and seized. Yikes!
Whoa.
No good. All right. Well, then I'm going to take us out, my lovely fiends.
Okay.
And if our worst fears came to life, we would be dead.